Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154, where today we have EU server resident SharpesCompany in the premium tier 8 Swedish tank destroyer Stridsvagn S1. Now SharpesCompany's been a very active supporter of the content over the years, particularly on the meme content. Now some of our memes have a tendency to hit the gutter, and Sharps has a way of taking them even further down. Just a hilarious contribution, and for some of the more serious military matters has so much to contribute in terms of his and his family's many years of military service to Her Majesty the Queen, and I guess going forward, His Majesty the King. Now, Stridsvagn S1 has got one of the best concealment ratings available to a tier 8 tank destroyer. In fact, second best only to UDAS 03 on the Swedish tech tree. In spite of that, he has been spotted and has been taking a bit of fire. He's taken a shot from the enemy Stridsvagn S1 and miraculously bounced a shot from the enemy VZ51, which by all accounts should have actually overmatched the 30mm armour that makes up the frontal plate of Stridsvagn S1. These knife-shaped Swedish tank destroyers are very susceptible to overmatch, where the 3 calibers rule comes in with a preponderance of calibers at this tier that are exceeding the 90mm required for an automatic penetration. In fact, the only way that he could have possibly avoided that penetration was if the shot had landed on the driver's hatch on the front of the vehicle that at 45mm can resist the automatic penetration that comes from overmatch from VZ51's primary armament. Now, Stridsvagn S1 has 2 settings. One's for siege and the other is for mobility. Mobility will let you belt along at 50 km per hour forward, 45 km per hour in reverse, but you can't really shoot the broadside of a barn and you have very limited travel with the gun. In the siege mode, however, you significantly lose your mobility. 8 km per hour forward, 8 km per hour backwards, but you get your shooting circle tightened up to 0.29 meters per 100 meters as base, with very little further dynamic dispersion coming into play as you aim the weapon. Another neat feature of this siege mode is that provided you're not moving around, like WASD moving around, as you're pointing the gun around, you are turning the whole tank. That's literally how the thing aims, but as you're doing that, you're not compromising your ability to use the camo net or the binoculars as SharpesCompany is doing here, and that's allowed him to be engaging this Leopard Prototype A in the ISU 152K quite consistently without being spotted in turn, although the kill goes to the friendly Leopard PTA. Now, the friendly team appears to be making some solid gains down on the rail line flank. In the meantime, SharpesCompany is identifying at the extremes of his render range the enemy Char Future 4. He does get a hit in, but the kill ends up evading him again, with that going to Progetto 66. SU 1:30 PM in a bit of a one-side engagement against the enemy Tortoise. It has pushed forward into the hard cover afforded by the buildings that make up the town of Live Oaks, but they have been knocked out in crossfire from the enemy Leopard PTA. Now, this wasn't a particularly strong contest of the town by SharpesCompany's team, although I've never really felt that that's 100% necessary to do on Live Oaks, because you can see just how exposed the cap circles are on both sides. Whatever gains that the enemy is going to make into the town, it seems to be offset quite considerably by the gains that SharpesCompany's team has been able to make on the rail line flank. So there's going to be a collective team effort required to effectively respond to these respective threats. At the moment, it's arguably SharpesCompany's team with the advantage. They are up on both guns as well as hit points. SharpesCompany also has this town under guard. Anything that pops out from those buildings is going to be able to reliably engage with his 105mm main gun. We're also starting to see a bit of a counter-attack of the town forming with SharpesCompany's team. They are pushing up through that 3-4 line on the low side of the swamp. But the Tortoise is engaging E75TS from the high ground. It looks to be getting those hits in rather consistently. Joined in by Leopard PTA now. It's not going down lightly. There are a lot of crossfires that are punching away at that Tortoise, but at this point in time it looks like the tier 9 heavy assault tank destroyer is going to be out DPMing this E75TS. SharpesCompany in the meantime spots the enemy Stridsvagn S1, managing to sneak his shot in as E75TS goes down to the Tortoise. Of course, you might question the target priority there, given they might have had the broadside of the Tortoise, but with enemy vehicles like Stridsvagn S1, you really do need to make hay while the sun shines. There is no guarantee that it's going to be lit up again in the near future. SharpesCompany does set his sights on the enemy Progetto 66 in the meantime, weaving these shots through the buildings, with each shot landing for 390 hit points and landing with not only precision but also penetration. The standard shells will punch through 288mm of armor. That's the best standard penetration available to a tier 8 tank destroyer. And then if you absolutely have to penetrate the enemy tank and the enemy tank behind it, you can go to the premium shells for 330mm of penetration. Now it appears that the attack and counter-attack is starting to meet from the southern end of the town. We can see this exchange of fire happening with the defender. It's now one-shottable, but it's got a Progetto 66 that's one-shottable downrange defender, providing the rounding error with its massive 122mm gun. K91 PT also spotting an enemy Samoa SM that's on a rather low hit point position, and puts another mark on the board for Sharpes-Company's team. This puts Sharpes-Company's team on a 3-gun advantage now, and just really shows how effective taking control of that rail line flank can be. If you're not meeting the resistance, you push through and your options become so much greater. They could be contesting the cap, as we can see that the team is doing, or they can be countering a town push by moving up those 3-4 lines through the swamp. This is also having the effect of making the usual sniper positions rather useless, and is turning this game into quite the turkey shoot here for Sharpes Company. He is just farming this Leopard PTA in the open, as well as the Kunzi-Panzer. Of course, it's not just Sharpes Company, it's this T28 prototype that's joining the party as well, and they've managed to get the kill on the Kunzi-Panzer. Enemy Strv S1 also coming back into view, and Sharpes Company choosing to make hay while the sun shines, and manages to secure their first kill of the game after over 4,000 damage inflicted so far. We're 5 guns down, the VZ51 is seeing red and needs to put an evener on the score. It applies that to the ELC even 90 as it makes a break for the hard cover of town. Leopard PTA cutting off escape routes for other enemy vehicles, being able to catch the tortoise out from behind and send it back to the garage. A grid square back, the friendly Skoda T50 also positioned, and it's getting crossfire onto the enemy object 7032-122. Of course, this time with a 3-round autoloader, but only needs 2 out of 3 to finish it off. And as Alexander the Great wept when he had no worlds left to conquer, Sharpes Company moves on where he has no more enemies left to shoot. But his last contribution to this battle is actually past us now. He's not going to be involved too much more in the fighting. That honour will go to the rest of the friendly team that is now well and truly into the cleanup phase of this battle. So let's switch gears and see how that unfolds. We have K91 PT, Defender, and Progetto 66 engaging SU-130 PM. Defender with the kill, although K91 PT landing in very close proximity to the enemy premium tank destroyer. But ELC even 90 has revealed itself trying to unload its magazine, or at least support in some way, shape or form from the back, and K91 PT gives chase. Excellent forward and rotational mobility, a little bit of a derpy gun, but it's certainly keeping up with ELC even 90, managing to send it back to the garage. This just leaves 2 enemy tanks alive in the town. They do a 180 turn in the hope that they might be able to get involved. Battle is well and truly joined by this stage though. A number of medium and heavy tanks have descended upon the last remaining enemy vehicles. E75 TS charging in against the enemy left PTAs, but that is just way too much firepower and they end up going down. The friendly E75 engaging the enemy VZ51, last alive here. He's got the side of the tier 9 Czech heavy tank, and that has absolutely no chance against that kind of brutality. So that is a win for Sharpes Company in the premium tier 8 Swedish tank destroyer Stridsvagn S1. Let us take a look at the results. So for their efforts, Sharpes Company has come away with an Ace Mastery badge in the premium tier 8 Swedish tank destroyer Stridsvagn S1. That places him in the top 1% of tankers by EXP in this vehicle in the week of that particular battle. He's got a couple of epic medals here. We've got high caliber for accounting for at least 20% of the total hit point pool of enemy vehicles. And what a collection of damage here. Over 5,500 hit points of damage inflicted on the enemy team. He's also picked up the Confederate medal where he's hit more vehicles than any other player on the team. And if we sort of go through the list and we see how many different vehicles that he's actually done damage to. He's done damage to 8 different vehicles. That's more than half the enemy team he's put a shot on. Looking to the badges of merit, he's picked up the Spotter medal where he's enabled his allies to spot at least 1,000 hit points of damage, and he's smashed that with over 2,300 assists from that excellent bush position that he adopted quite early in the battle. He's picked up the Bruiser medal for causing damage to enemy vehicle modules or crew members at least 5 times in the course of the battle, really smashing the internals of some of these enemy vehicles with a total of 9 critical hits applied. Having a look to the team scores, Sharpes Company has placed very convincingly top by experience points, roughly 50% higher than the next vehicle behind them. Not to take away from the achievement of I Am Immortal in the Object 252, with over 3,000 damage inflicted and taking 3 kills. Sharpes Company was all damage, no lethality, unfortunately only coming away with a single kill for that game. Kowal in the Leopard Prototype A also providing a solid base of fire, which is reflected in both their experience points take and their damage take. Honourable mention to the Tortoise on the enemy team, with nearly 3200 damage inflicted. Unfortunately, it was just managed that one kill on the E75 TS, but they pushed through, they kept that gun firing, and they were able to come away with that 3000 hit points. Unfortunately not carrying quite hard enough today. Looking at to the detailed report, a very profitable game here for SharpesCompany with over 130,000 credits netted in profit. Minimal repair costs. Of course, he stayed alive. Ammunition bills kept to a minimum owing to, I don't think he was firing any premium ammunition over the course of that battle, which there's some really good reasons to use premium ammunition with this vehicle, 330 reasons in fact, but managed to stow that and contribute to quite a profitable result here. There was a consumables resupply. I suspect that might have been the food that he was running, but I guess all that did was kept the vehicle as obscure with as far view range as possible, which has also contributed to the assist damage result and just staying hidden and staying alive. So thanks very much, SharpesCompany, for sending this one in. And if you've got a replay that you'd like to see featured on World of Tanks with PR154, we are taking community submitted replays and doing a regular showcase on our Twitch channel, and hopefully we can get the responsible party in to talk about what was going through their mind and down their barrel. And I guess a replay review interview sort of format, some of the results of which you might have seen going up onto the tube already. In the meantime, happy tanking and take care out there.